demonstrating how to change the fuel filter on a 2006 Volkswagen Jetta 1.9 liter TDI. We're going to be using one of the highest quality fuel filters made by Mahle Original. Mahle has been making filters since the late 1920s and is an official OE supplier to Volkswagen and many other German automakers. The fuel filter includes all the necessary O-rings, seals, and washers necessary for a proper fuel filter replacement. So let's get started on changing the fuel filter. So for starters, the fuel filter is located here on the passenger side front area of the engine bay. So for starters, before you start taking the fuel filter apart, I like to actually take some old rags and stuff it in the bottom area, especially around the serpentine belt area, because if you end up getting any diesel fuel on the serpentine belt or rubber components in the area, it can prematurely allow the hoses or the serpentine belt to deteriorate. Next, using T30 Torx, you're going to have 5 bolts that are going to need to be loosened and removed to gain access to the fuel filter area. So at first I kind of evenly just loosen them all around the fuel filter housing. And then work my way around and remove them completely. Now with all the torque bolts removed, we're going to use a pry bar to pry up the top portion of the fuel filter housing. You want to be really careful not to scar the portion between the bottom base and the top base, just so you don't get any metal shavings or dirt or anything into the fuel filter area. And what I'm going to do is just work my way around the fuel filter from one tab to the next, just so I don't overstress one tab and bend it, in case by chance it would be really, really difficult to remove. You don't want to bend those. The next thing I'm going to do is pop out these little clips with the hose out of the clips that hold the fuel hose, so I can lift up on this a little better. And I'm going to use a really clean, brand new rag. And then you kind of have to maneuver the hoses in such a way that it can get moved out of the way. That. Next thing I'm going to do is bring a pan in, and there's this O-ring, the Olympic O-ring style on top here, and the fuel filter is in here. You want to be really, really careful not to, there's an O-ring seal on this, and you want to be careful when you're pulling up on it not to splash any of the diesel fuel all over the hoses. So you want to do it really slow. So I just work my way up little by little, and then it pops out. And I kind of gonna let this sit here to drain a little bit. Use my hand to cradle the drips of diesel fuel. Next thing I'm going to do is just move this out of the way. And using a small pick, I'm going to remove this Olympic, or the 4 little circular O-ring. Everybody calls it an Olympic O-ring, the Olympic seal, or the Olympic style one. So you just want to do that without tearing it, so you don't get any rubber in the fuel system. Next thing I'm going to do is using a pick, I'm going to remove the green colored O-ring on the top side of the filter housing. It's pretty easy, actually slides right off. I just wanted to make note so you guys can see a comparison. This is the fuel filter that was in it, and this is the brand new fuel filter that we're going to be putting in it. You can tell by the discoloration on how dirty this fuel filter was. Especially with a diesel, you obviously want to replace this on a regular basis just due to efficiency reasons. The factory service interval for the diesel fuel filter is every 20,000 miles. And as well, they say you should drain the fuel filter housing of water every 10,000 miles. The next thing I'm going to do is actually just install the new O-ring, but I'm going to just put my finger in here and get a little bit of diesel fuel and lubricate this O-ring just so it goes on a little easier when you push down the top housing area. As well, I'm going to do the same thing with the new Olympic style O-ring. Grab a little diesel fuel, lube it up, and set this into place. Next thing, there's no difference in orientation top to bottom. The bottom is the same as the top. So it doesn't really matter what side you have up or down. And I just do a mild rotation of this. While you're sliding it down. As you're putting it in, you'll kind of feel that one final click or snap down into place, which means it's down all the way. The next thing we're going to do is maneuver the fuel filter housing cover back down into place. You want to line up all 5 tabs for the mounting holes. And basically, once those are lined up, we're going to start one bolt at a time. You want to do it just hand tight so they all line up correctly. This one you can barely reach with your fingers in between the hoses, but so basically all I'm going to do is kind of tighten it evenly in a diagonal manner, back and forth, to work down the sealing area of the O-ring evenly, so the pressure is applied evenly to the O-ring, not that one side goes down before one side, which could pinch the O-ring or cause an improper seal and give you a fuel leak. So just the importance of a little at a time. You don't necessarily have to do it all by your fingers. You could just grab the ratchet or the extension. You just do one turn at a time. Kind of similar to how you would actually put a wheel on a car. You just work your way around. And next you're going to want to torque. The factory spec is 5 Newton meters, which is pretty much hand tight. You want to do it in a star pattern, similar to how we were doing it before, or tightening it before. So the next thing I'm going to do is remove the rags that I put down here to soak up any of the spillage. And I'm going to just grab one of these rags and wipe around this housing just a little bit of the diesel fuel residue, just so if there is any leaks, you can easily see it after we cycle and compress the fuel system again. The next thing we're going to do is go inside the vehicle, cycle the key a few times to pressurize the fuel lines, and double check to see if we have any fuel leaks. So the last thing I'm going to do is, after starting it and cycling the key and having it running, I want to check for any diesel fuel around this seam. Check my fingers just to confirm that there is no leak and everything sealed properly on that top O-ring. So that's an overview on how to change the fuel filter on a 2006 Volkswagen Jetta 1.9 liter TDI. For more information on our products, feel free to check out our website at blauparts.com. And thanks for watching.